What's up, gamers?
Oh my God.
Today I'm going to be showing all of you how to make a Jane remover, formerly known as Dltzk type beat. Now, I will warn you, this tutorial is going to be pretty long, and I know I say that in most of my tutorials and they end up being like 8 minutes long, but this one's probably going to be around like the 14-15 minute range. So prepare some snacks. Might I recommend some cheddar ruffles and some vanilla Coke. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's just hop right into the beat. All right, so here is our delectable beat, and just by looking at it, you can tell my CPU is sweating. So for this beat, pretty much every 8 bars is different. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna break it down from the intro to the next section, to the next section, to the next section, rather than just going over the melody then the drums, because there's a whole lot more to this beat than just melody and drums. So that being said, let's go over the intro. All right, this section right here is the intro, and it's probably the most simple portion of the beat. For this, I just picked out a bunch of ambiances and kind of just threw them in and a couple of tonal effects, just to start off the beat in kind of a atmospheric and ambient sort of way. Some great places you can find ambiances are the Cymatics Life Pack, the Cymatics Viper Kit, and pretty much any kind of cinematic texture pack. And then I also have a couple risers playing to transition into the next portion of the beat. As you can see, we have some automation clips at play here, so let's go over what those are doing. Alrighty, well, I had to completely shut off my computer in order for FL to operate again. So if that doesn't go to show how complex this beat is, I don't know what will. So these two automation clips are effects on the master. So for those automated plugins, I have Vocodex, which is something that Jane used on Eyes Off the Wheel, I'm a Star. I don't know if they used Vocodex, but I do know they used some kind of vocoder. And after that, I have Portal, which is a granular effect, synthesis, delay kind of plugin, and I have it on the Utter Destruction preset. Also, I have this clip automating a Fruity Fast distortion on the master, which is yet again something Jane did on Eyes Off the Wheel, I'm a Star. So with that being said, this is what the intro sounds like. And after that intro, I have it going into a melodic portion where I have it playing a super mellow pad from Analog Lab, being the Orange Aurora. So this is what that melody sounds like. So the bass line that this melody is playing is going from the 6 to the 1 to the 6 to the 1. Yet again, this is something I took inspiration from with Eyes Off the Wheel, I'm a Star, being that the chord progression goes from one note to the other, back to the note, back to the other note. It's not a very complex chord progression. Also for that melodic portion, I have an ambience playing from the Cymatics Life Pack. And for the second portion of the melodic intro, I have a bunch of risers leading into the drop, as well as a couple automation clips automating the tremolo. The plugin I use to automate the tremolo is mTremolo, which is a free tremolo plugin, and I just automated the rate and the mix of the tremolo. So this is what this melodic intro sounds like. And from there, we go into this huge, crazy drop. For the first melodic component of the drop, I have the Mystic Piano from Analog Labs, and I can't play the melody in the piano roll, otherwise this will crash most definitely. So I'll just play the waveform itself. So this is what it sounds like. All that is a MIDI from a Cymatics MIDI pack. It's following the same 6-to-1 chord progression as the previous melody, it's just a little bit more complex. And for that little 16th note delay, I have Valhalla Supermassive on the 16th note Century preset. For the next melodic portion of the drop is this super gritty lead from Serum, and this is what it sounds like. To be honest, there's no rhyme or reason when coming up with this lead. I kind of just played with notes on my MIDI keyboard before I found something that sounded really, really nice. But if you want a basis to go off when making your leads, try starting them off with the 5th, the 3rd, the 4th, or even the 7th of the chord you're working with at the time. I found those notes to harmonize well with the original melody, so feel free to use those. After that, I laid down this second lead yet again from Serum, and it's just playing the same pattern as the last one. Okay, so those are all the melodic components when it comes to the first drop, so now let's move into the drums. The first thing I laid down was this 808 from my Hive stash kit, which you can find for free in the link in the description. So this is what it sounds like. For the effects on that, I have a fast distortion on the B panel at 13%, as well as wider to give it a little bit of stereo separation. After that, I grabbed this kick, just following a basic pattern yet again from my Hive stash kit. I've been playing a really, really low note because the C5 just didn't really resonate well with the 808, so I brought it down to a G sharp 4. After that, I threw in this open hat matching the kick pattern. I do that just to give the kick a little bit more high end when it hits. And after that, I have this perk from Love Yosha's Hyperpop kit acting as a snare. And for the last portion of the drums, I have this acoustic drum break using SSD sampler. Jane Remover likes to use a good mix of synthetic and acoustic drums, so I thought I'd throw this in there just to stay true to the Jane Remover method. And after that, all we have are a couple of ambiances and effects. So the first one is this body scream. It's kind of a meme, but I thought I'd throw it in there because Jane Remover likes to use screams when big drops are hit, especially on their album Frailty. Next, I have this crash from the Cymatics Viper kit, as well as this riser towards the end of the drop. And the final portion of the drop is this automation clip automating a frequency shifter for the melody. Frequency shifting is something Breakins uses a lot in his music, and I haven't really noticed it in Jane's music, but I thought I'd integrate it to give the melody a little bit more movement. And all I did for this is automate the shift and toy with it a little bit. So with all that together, this is what the drop sounds like. So as you can see, that drop is super intense, and it's kind of hard to follow up with that, so I decided to go into a beat switch. For this beat switch, one of the only melodies playing is this guitar from Looperman. And for the first portion of the beat switch, I have yet again some ambience from Cymatics and a riser leading into the drum portion of the beat switch. So this is what the intro of the switch sounds like. For this next portion, I throw in some live drums yet again from SSD Sampler, and this is what they sound like. I didn't want to go with just a standard drum break, so I offset the snares a little bit to give it a sort of drill-like pattern, and I also threw in some open hats to give it some bounce. And then I also made the second drum pattern, but with this fill at the end. So this is what the guitar and the drum sound like together. And all I do for this next portion is integrate a sine lead to give it a synthetic component. So this is what that sine lead sounds like. For the effects on that, I just have Fruity Delay, Valhalla Supermassive, and Fruity Fast Distortion on the B panel. And as you can see for this next portion, we are transitioning into yet another drop. So I use a couple of risers and cut out the beat in order to create suspense for that next drop. So this is what that sounds like all together. Alright, so this next portion is super complex, so I'm just gonna dive right into it. The first thing I laid down was this hypersaw lead from Serum, and it's just mimicking the first original melody we laid down. After that, I grabbed another harsh lead from Serum, yet again mimicking the previous lead melody. And after that, I grabbed a distorted whirly from Analog Labs, and yet again, I can't play the MIDI, otherwise my computer will crash, but it's just mimicking the same melody as the first. So this is what that sounds like. After that, I laid down the same guitar from the previous section, except I threw on some fast distortion as well as Portal on the Dreams into Nightmares preset. So this is what that sounds like now. As you can tell, it's a whole lot more glitchy and distorted now. And the last melodic component is the hardstyle lead from the first drop. So that's going to cover the melodic components. Now let's move into the drums. Yet again, I grabbed the Hyperpop 808, but I have it playing a different pattern. I also have that 808 layered with an MTR bass to give it a little bit more high end. After that, I grabbed those open hats yet again, and I have another very similar drum break at the end. And I forgot to mention, I also grabbed the same kick pattern from the previous drop. So now let's address the elephant in the room. The chopped up melody and drums. I wanted this to be drastically different from the first drop, and I figured the best way to do that is to chop up the melody and the drums to give it more bounce. So right here and right here, I have it chopping when the snare hits. Right here, I have it chopped just a little bit to make room for this reverse kick and these risers. Right here, I have it chopped yet again when the snare hits. And I have this super glitchy portion where I chopped it up in the 1/2 step and then just duplicated it until it filled a measure. And I also have this volume automation following when the melody and the drums get chopped, and I have it bringing back the melody and drums gradually rather than just chopping out and then coming back abruptly. And as you can see, I also have a bunch of effects, but it's pretty similar to the first drop, so I really don't need to go into it. So finally, this is what the second drop sounds like. And there we have it. That is going to pretty much cover how to make a Jane Remover type beat. Hopefully you learned something new today. Yet again, I'm sorry for how long this was, but there was really a whole lot to cover. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the comments down below, and I will do my best to answer them. Other than that, that's going to be it. Peace.